Testing. This is DJ Alex coming to you from way downtown.
This is the Writers and Illustrators of the Future podcast, and you've got DJ Alex there, who's already signed in. We're here in New York at the BookCon, and Alex has been here for a couple of hours signing books, and it's been an awesome time. So let's get right into it. So hello, Alex.
Hey, how's it going, John?
It's going pretty good. So what's it like? This is your first BookCon, and this is the first time you've been signing at a BookCon.
This is good. It's all been positive. You know, I love interacting with the fans, and everyone here is a fan of art, fan of books, and it's been great. It's been great. You get to nerd out with fellow nerds about the best stuff in the world. So,
now you're a recent winner of the Illustrators of the Future contest, just published in volume 35. Mm-hmm. Now, one of the things that we have with the contest, which is a lot of the people that listen to this podcast also are interested in knowing, is the vote of confidence that the contest provides.
Yeah.
So what's it been like coming here and selling your art?
So as artists of any kind, we tend to get trapped in our own heads, in our own space. We work in studios, or if you write, you might have a space that you write in. And there's no one else around, so you can get pretty down on yourself. It's just a part of the game. We all do it. And having your work recognized really lifts you up and gets you out there, and then coming out and getting to meet people and say, hey, I did this thing. Hey, I made this art. And then they get really excited about seeing the art. You know, they're like, oh, Mom, this is you. Do you have cards? Can I follow you online? And you can take that energy. It's literal food. You can take it and go home with that energy, and it's a battery, and it'll carry you for weeks. And this is that is the con experience for creatives. So you go to these events so that you can ride that high back at home and really create a lot in a very short period of time. So it's been absolutely great.
Plus, you sold all your art.
Yes, I came here with a small number of prints just to test and see how people would receive unexpected art, because this is a book con, not an art con. And it did great. So, you know, that gives me a lot of hope for actually showing up at a place where people are expecting art, because everyone loved it and it flew off the table. So that's awesome.
Which is really good, yes. So now for other people that are aspiring artists, what else couldn't you say? Because now when I last interviewed you, it was before the week started. So now you just come in, arrived, and we're a little bit shell-shocked at arriving in Hollywood. And now you've gone through the week, you've gone to the awards ceremony, and you've had some time, you've done some book signings, some TV interviews, some other media. So tell me about the overall experience.
Never quit. Never stop. There are going to be days where everything is bad, and you feel like you just can't handle another letter of rejection. Well, guess what? I'm here to tell you, you can handle it. And sometimes you can wallpaper your house in those things. But when people believe in you and those doors start to open, run with it. Get out there, talk to people. Doesn't matter what kind of person you are, you got to be down with talking to people. And everyone's just been accepting. Everyone's been like, we're so glad you're here. We're excited about your work. We want to bring your work home. And that's the most gratifying thing as an artist. Yes, jobs are great. They pay the bills. But, having people run over to you and then buy your work and then scamper off with it and excited to put it on their walls, I mean, that's why you got into this in the first place, right? You love telling stories, whatever your media is. You love telling stories. You have just sent someone home with a story. That's the best. As far as the weekend, Los Angeles, it was amazing. I learned a ton about business. I met all of those other winners who were great. And then the heavy-hitting pros that came in were great. Some I knew ahead of time, and some were new to me. And they all had individual nuggets of truth to dispense based on their own paths. And each artist's path is different. You should never, ever look at another artist who you look up to and be like, but my art doesn't look like their art. Or the way I'm getting into the industry isn't how they got into the industry. It's not going to be. Everyone has their own path. Everyone has their own voice. Be proud of your voice and find out what niche that voice belongs in.
Good. So now, any changes or any evolutions that happened for your own personal career since winning the contest? 'Cause I know at one point you were ready to
hang it up. Yeah. So change like that is slow burning. Self-confidence boost has been huge. And the desire to continue painting has been huge. That's been totally restored. So that's
Yeah. Because you're talking about like you've got sculpture and painting. So here you've done painting. That's what's been
right. So the sculpture for me is a little different. It's maquette sculpture and it supports the painting. So it's more concept art for me. It's not yet something I sell. Eventually there will be small desk monsters and stuff based on the book that I'm working on. But most of the time it's for like if I have to draw a dragon and it's a really intricate dragon design, I will sculpt it so I can light it and get the lighting right for the painting. And then if I choose to, if it's not too insanely detailed, I could cast it and sell the casting. But it's all, for me, I mean, since I got home, I've been just gobbling up every possible, I've learned how to use an airbrush gun. I've learned how to wire electronics for different types of sculpture, because I also do like found sculpture for like robots and stuff as part of the storytelling. So I'm just gobbling up every bit of knowledge that I can get my hands on while pushing my painting at the same time. And eventually I will figure out how my unique puzzle piece fits into the industry. Or, just hit it hard enough so that it kind of sticks to the side.
Yeah. So in terms of what you've got to offer to the industry, what type of work do you do for illustration in terms of like, you got cover art, you got magazine art, you've got, so a little bit so people know like.
Right. So I've done cover art now. I've been in a couple of magazines, art magazines. So it's like, featured artist of the month type stuff. I have done some work for games. And I've done some work for indie movies, kind of friend of friends stuff. For concept art. That was a while ago, and that was kind of like when I was in school and I knew someone who was working on a project, but I have done it. It is on the resume. And from here, we will also be branching into hopefully more publishing and more, I'm looking at the entertainment side of advertising. So the fantasy, sci-fi, steampunk portfolio that I already have will still apply for that. Maybe I'll have to add a couple of pieces that are more addy, but I won't have to reinvent the wheel to step into that new genre, and expanding is key.
Right.
Because if you're a freelancer out there, freelance is an ocean. There are big waves, jobs where you make tons of money and you're set for months, and then there's periods of time where you can't find a single piece of work no matter how good you are, and stuff gets dicey, and that's not great. So if you're fishing in multiple ponds at once, those overlap and weave, and your life becomes more stable. And honestly, the more financially stable you are as an artist, the better the minute you're not worried about your next month's bills, your art's instantly better. It'll instantly come out better, because that is not stress that you will thrive off of.
Good. So now, for the person that's an aspiring artist, now from another perspective, because you told me what you thought back the week starting the Writers of the Future and Illustrators of the Future week. So how would you provide advice, or what would you say to the aspiring artist or illustrator?
Aimed at trying to get work or trying to get into the competition?
Go either way.
Okay, so
both ways actually.
You want to display your own voice. I've had job interviews with Disney. I've had job interviews with Blizzard, a number of other companies, and you have to study who you want to work for. Now, let's take Blizzard as a perfect example. Blizzard has a style that goes across all of their games. Doesn't matter if it's Hearthstone or StarCraft or Warcraft or whatever you like. For them, they want to see their style. So you're going to have some of that in your portfolio. But that is a single client, and you should never put all your eggs in one basket.
Right.
You should have a voice of your own. I know Disney is another good example. If you talk to a rep from Disney and they're interested in what you do, they don't want to see a single piece of artwork that's for another company. Now, I mean, if it's a client piece for a game that you were paid for, that's fine. But like, they don't want you showing up with like Star Wars fan art, even if it's at a professional level, even if it was like Dave Dorman good. They don't want to see that. They want to see original, because that's what they're interested in. They're interested in pulling you in to see what new IPs they can throw you at. So you need to study every single client, because everyone is different. But get out there, find out what you love, and draw what you love. Don't think, oh, well, I want to work for, this one client and I'm not super into this, but I guess I'll do that. You're never going to get that work. Art directors can tell every time, draw what you love. If you love fantasy, draw fantasy. If you love sci-fi, draw sci-fi. If you love history and animals and dinosaurs, draw that. There's a spot for you out there somewhere, but you should always be able to branch in multiple directions. If you put all of your stuff in one basket, you're doomed to fail. I don't care how good you are, because there just is a lot of us.
Right.
There is more of us than there are jobs. So you need to be constant. Like me right now, I freelance. I am just starting to ramp up to start going to cons so I can make money selling prints and meeting people and selling goods that way. I'm also writing a book of short stories that will be illustrated by me, and there's a concept art section for the world building so that I can try to market that for full-time jobs to games and movie houses and animation houses and stuff like that. That's a whole lot of stuff, and I've got to learn like a half dozen new programs to stay on the cutting edge of all that stuff. Basic modeling, basic animation, ZBrush for digital sculpture. Just put your nose to the grindstone, learn as much as you can, and never be afraid to approach someone who is already above you as a professional and ask questions. Obviously, don't stop them in the bathroom or anything that happens. But shoot them an email on their website. Maybe they'll have time to answer your questions. It might not be right away. And if you do get told, I'm really busy and I can't right now, don't be offended. Try somebody else. We're all super busy. But most people, I'd say 99% of the people in this industry are very supportive of up-and-coming people, and we want you to succeed because we've all been there.
Yeah. We've also got on the writersthatfuture.com website, there's we got the blogs, which we have a lot of articles and essays from winners and judges, and we also have this podcast, which provides all this information. But what about just the fact of entering the contest itself?
Entering the contest was great. I was told to enter by a past winner, and I had heard of it, but I wasn't sure. A lot of contests, there's age limits, and it's like internships. A lot of people are like, why don't you apply for an internship? And I'm like, I'm 37 and not in school anymore, and they just don't want you. And so I wrote to you guys, and I was like, hey, would it be cool if I entered? And you were like, yeah, absolutely. Put your stuff in. So I was like, great. So the next day, I spent a couple of hours, put all the material together, and sent my stuff in. And then life went on for a few months. I think I even forgot that I entered. And then I was in Seattle at the time, and I was getting ready to leave Seattle because, for those of you who live there, it's a very expensive city. And I was on the treadmill at my apartment complex, and the phone rings, and it was Joni. And at first, I think I actually didn't answer the phone at first because it was a restricted number that came in, and I was like, it's probably a telemarketer. Then I answered the second time, and I'm huffing and puffing on the treadmill, and Joni's the most excitable person on the planet, and she's like, is this Alex? I'm like, this is Alex. Like, you won! And I was like, what did I win? And then, she told me, you entered the contest, and I was like, oh my God! And I lost my mind. I had to call my parents, and the rest is history. But it's just funny because there were other people in the gym, and it was a small gym. It was like, it's like a 20-foot by 30-foot room. So I'm like freaking out in the corner on this phone call, like soaked in sweat from running on the treadmill. And the other people are looking at me like, what is happening to that guy? I'm like, all good things. All good things are happening over here. Look away. But yeah. If you're out there and you think that you want to jump into this competition, you should do it. There's the only thing that's stopping you is you, and you can't win if you don't try.
That's right.
And if you don't win, paint some more stuff, get better, try again. And if you don't win that time, repeat as many times as necessary, because that's the entire industry. You got a company you want to work for, you didn't get that job, try again. No one can tell you can't do this but you.
That's right.
Remember, the most important rule is that if you're creative, you have everything you need, because all art skills can be taught. The only thing that can't be taught is creativity.
That's very good advice. Yeah. So how can people find you?
Okay, so my website is www.illustratedpixels.com. On Instagram, it's at illustratedpixels. Facebook, Alexander Gustafson. And if you go to illustratedpixels.com, you can find links to all the social media on there. You can contact me if you're looking to hire. And feel free to stop by and check out the art.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Alex.
Thanks, John.
And that's it for here at BookCon in New York. Thank you very much for listening to the Writers of the Future podcast. It's a podcast that's been created to help aspiring writers and artists from anywhere around the world. If you're an aspiring artist or an aspiring writer, please subscribe to this podcast and be sure to check out writersofthefuture.com. Thank you very much.